Sebastian Kane stood at the floor, two ceiling windows of his penthouse office, watching the city lights twinkle below like scattered diamonds. At 42, he had built Kane Industries into a technology empire worth $15 billion.
Smart.
Phones, artificial intelligence, cutting-edge software. His name was on products used by millions worldwide. Yet tonight, none of that mattered. The mahogany desk behind him held a single document that could destroy everything he had worked for. His grandmother's will was crystal clear: marry and produce an heir within 18 months, or watch his life's work passed to his cousin David, a man who had never worked an honest day in his life. Grandmother knew exactly what she was doing, Sebastian muttered, running his fingers through his dark hair. Margaret Kane had been the family's iron-willed matriarch, and even in death, she controlled their destiny. She had watched Sebastian dedicate his entire adult life to business, avoiding serious relationships, and decided to force his hand. The elevator chimed softly, and his assistant Jennifer appeared in the doorway. "Mr. Kane, I have the files you've requested on potential candidates." She placed a thick folder on his desk with obvious discomfort. Sebastian had spent the last 3 months in what felt like the world's most expensive dating game. Society, women, actresses, models, successful businesswomen, all had been eager to meet the eligible billionaire. But each encounter had felt like a business transaction, with dollar signs reflected in their eyes instead of genuine interest. "Cancel. Tomorrow's lunch with the ambassador's daughter," Sebastian said wearily. "And the dinner with the pharmaceutical heiress." "I need to think." As Jennifer left, Sebastian opened the folder one more time. Beautiful faces stared back at him, each with impressive credentials and obvious motivations. Not one had looked at him and seen simply Sebastian. They saw Kane Industries, saw wealth, saw status. The building grew quiet as evening turned to night. Sebastian loosened his silk tie and rolled up his sleeves, settling in for another late night of work. At least in business, relationships were honest about being transactional. The night shift discovery around midnight. Sebastian heard the soft hum of a vacuum cleaner in the hallway. The night cleaning crew had arrived. Invisible workers who maintained his corporate kingdom while he and his executives slept peacefully in their suburban mansions. He had never paid much attention to the cleaning staff before, but tonight, restless and unable to concentrate, he found himself listening to their quiet conversations as they worked. Most spoke in hushed Spanish, discussing families, children, weekend plans, real-life concerns that felt foreign to his world of board meetings and profit margins. A soft voice caught his attention, speaking in clear English, tinged with a slight accent. "Mia, baby, I know you want the art supplies for school, but we have to wait until next week when I get paid. I promise we'll get them then." Sebastian moved closer to his office door, curious despite himself. Through the glass panel, he could see a young woman sitting on one of the reception chairs speaking into an old cell phone. She wore the standard gray cleaning uniform, her long dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Even under the harsh, fluorescent lights, she was strikingly beautiful. But more than that, there was something genuine in her expression that he rarely encountered. "Tell Grandma Rosa I'll be home by 3, the woman continued. "And don't forget to brush your teeth. I love you more than all the stars in the sky." The tenderness in her voice made Sebastian pause. When was the last time anyone had spoken to him with such pure affection? His world was filled with people who wanted something from him, who calculated their words for maximum advantage. The woman ended her call and stood, checking her watch with a small sigh. She gathered her cleaning supplies and moved efficiently through the reception area, her movements practiced and purposeful. Sebastian found himself studying her face as she worked, the determined set of her jaw, the careful way she handled everything, the quiet dignity in her posture. An idea began forming in his mind, so unexpected and unconventional that he almost dismissed it immediately. But as he watched this woman work with such dedication, speaking of her daughter with such love, he realized she possessed something all his potential wives had lacked: authenticity. The unexpected encounter. Sebastian opened his office door and stepped into the hallway. The woman looked up, startled, and immediately straightened with visible concern. "Sir, I'm so sorry," she said quickly. "I didn't realize anyone was still here. I can come back later to clean this floor." No need to apologize, Sebastian replied. Studying her face up close, her eyes were warm brown, intelligent, and alert. I often work late. What's your name? Lena Rodriguez, sir? She seemed nervous but met his gaze directly. I've been cleaning this building for about 2 years. Alina, Sebastian repeated, liking the way her name sounded. I couldn't help but overhear you talking about your daughter. Mia, was it? A protective look flashed across Elena's features. Yes, sir. She's 7. Is there a problem with personal calls? I only take them during my break time. Sebastian raised his hand in a peaceful gesture. No problem at all. You sound like a devoted mother. Elena's shoulders relaxed slightly. She's everything to me. I work nights so I can be with her during the day, help with homework, take her to school, and her father, Sebastian asked, then immediately regretted the personal question. But Alina didn't seem offended. Not in the picture, she said simply. It's just Mia and me, my mother, who helps watch her while I work. Sebastian nodded, his mind racing. Here was a woman who understood responsibility, who worked tirelessly for her family, who spoke of love without calculation. She was beautiful, but more importantly, she was real. Alina, this might sound strange, but would you be interested in having coffee with me sometime? Not here. Somewhere we could talk properly? Lena blinked in surprise, then looked around as if checking to see if someone was playing a joke on her. Mr. Kane, I think there's been some confusion. I'm just the cleaning lady. I know exactly who you are, Sebastian said quietly. That's why I'm asking, the life-changing proposition. Lena stared at him for a long moment, searching his face for signs of mockery or ulterior motives. Finding none, she seemed to consider his words carefully. I don't understand, she said finally. Why would someone like you want to have coffee with someone like me? Sebastian realized how his world must look from her perspective. The expensive suits, the corner office, the obvious wealth that separated their daily realities like an ocean. Because in the last 5 minutes, you've been more genuine than anyone I've met in the last 5 months, he said honestly. You work hard, you love your daughter, you take care of your family. Those aren't small things, Elena. They're everything, Elena. Shifted her weight, still holding her cleaning supplies. Mr. Kane, I appreciate the kind words, but I should get back to work. I have 4 more floors to finish tonight. Of course, Sebastian said, not wanting to keep her from her responsibilities. But please, think about it. Here's my card. Pulled out a business card and wrote his personal number on the back. Call me if you'd like to talk about anything. Lena took the card with obvious reluctance, tucking it into her uniform pocket without looking at it. I need this job, Mr. Kane. I can't afford any complications. I understand completely, Sebastian assured her. Whatever you decide, your job is secure. You have my word. As Alina moved away to continue her work, Sebastian returned to his office, with a strange sense of anticipation he hadn't felt in years. For the first time since reading his grandmother's ultimatum, he felt hopeful about finding a solution that didn't feel like a business merger. The next morning, Sebastian found himself checking his phone repeatedly, wondering if Alina would call. He realized he knew almost nothing about her beyond what he had observed, but somehow that felt like a beginning rather than a limitation. In a world where everyone wanted to tell him exactly what they thought he wanted to hear, Elena's authenticity felt like discovering a rare treasure. By afternoon, his phone finally rang with an unknown number. Sebastian answered on the first ring. Mr. Kane? Elena's voice was hesitant but clear. I've been thinking about your offer. Could we meet somewhere neutral? Somewhere my daughter could come to? I don't like leaving her with sitters unless it's for work, Sebastian smiled, appreciating that even in this unusual situation, Elena's first priority remained her child. Of course. How about the Children's Museum downtown? This Saturday afternoon? That sounds perfect, Alina replied, and Sebastian could hear the relief in her voice. Thank you for understanding about Mia. As they confirmed the details, Sebastian realized his grandmother might have been wiser than he initially thought. Perhaps love wasn't something that could be planned or purchased. Perhaps it was something that happened when you least expected it, in the most unlikely circumstances, with the most unexpected person. Saturday afternoon found Sebastian standing nervously outside the Children's Museum of Discovery, wearing jeans and a casual button-down shirt instead of his usual tailored suits. Had never felt more out of place, yet strangely more hopeful than he had in months. Alina arrived precisely on time, holding the hand of a small girl with bright, curious eyes and pigtails tied with colorful ribbons. The child wore a yellow sundress that had clearly been carefully chosen for the occasion. Yet she practically bounced with excitement at seeing the museum. "Mr. Kane, this is my daughter Mia," Alina said, her voice carrying a mixture of pride and protective caution. "Mia, this is the gentleman I told you about." Sebastian knelt down to Mia's eye level, remembering how intimidating adults could seem to children. "It's wonderful to meet you, Mia. Your mom tells me you like art." Mia nodded enthusiastically. "I want to be an artist when I grow up. Or maybe a scientist. Or both." Her uninhibited enthusiasm made Sebastian smile genuinely for the first time. "In weeks, those are excellent choices," he said seriously. "Artists and scientists both create new worlds. Would you like to explore the museum together?" As they walked through the interactive exhibits, Sebastian found himself seeing everything through Mia's eyes. Her wonder at the butterfly garden, her careful concentration as she painted at the art station, her endless questions about how things worked, it all reminded him of why he had fallen in love with innovation in the first place. Alina watched the interaction with growing amazement. She had expected awkwardness, perhaps condescension, but Sebastian seemed genuinely engaged with her daughter. He answered Mia's questions thoughtfully, helped her with difficult tasks, never once checked his phone or seemed impatient. "He's really nice, Mama," Mia whispered during a quiet moment while Sebastian was getting them drinks from the cafe. "He doesn't talk to me like I'm a baby." Alina felt something shift in her chest. She had been prepared to politely decline whatever Sebastian was offering, but watching him with Mia challenged all her assumptions about wealthy, powerful men. The shocking proposal after Mia had exhausted herself exploring every exhibit. They found a quiet corner of the museum cafe. Mia colored contentedly with new art supplies Sebastian had bought her, giving the adults a chance to talk. "Alina," Sebastian began, his voice carefully measured, "I need to tell you something important about why I asked to meet you." Alina tensed, her protective instincts immediately alert. "Go ahead." Sebastian took a deep breath. "I'm facing an unusual situation. My grandmother left a clause in her will that requires me to marry and have an heir within 18 months, or I lose control of my company to my cousin." Alina blinked in surprise. "It sounds like something from a movie." "I wish it were fiction," Sebastian said wryly. "I've spent the last 3 months meeting women who see me as a business opportunity rather than a person. Then I met you, and you treated me like a human being." "Where is this going, Mr. Kane?" Lena asked, though part of her already suspected. Sebastian looked directly into her eyes. "I'd like to propose a marriage arrangement, 1 year legally binding, with significant financial compensation for you. Enough to secure Mia's future, pay for college, buy a house, whatever you need." Alina stared at him in shock. "You want to pay me to marry you? Want to offer you financial security in exchange for helping me save my company?" Sebastian clarified. "But after spending today with you and Mia, I realize I'm hoping for something more than just a business arrangement." Elena's mind raced. The practical part of her immediately calculated what such an arrangement could mean. No more working nights. No more worrying about rent or medical bills. Educational opportunities for Mia she had never dared dream of. But the emotional part of her recoiled at the idea of marrying for money. "This is crazy," she said finally. "People don't really do things like this." "Desperate people do," Sebastian replied honestly. "And I am desperate, Elena. Not just to save my company, but to find someone real in a world full of people wearing masks." Mia looked up from her coloring. "Mama, why do you look worried?" Alina forced a smile. "Just grown-up talk, baby. Keep coloring that beautiful picture." Sebastian watched the interaction, seeing the way Alina instinctively protected her daughter from adult concerns. "I know this is overwhelming," he said quietly. "Take time to think about it. Talk to your family. Just ask that you consider it." Family consultation that evening. Alina sat at her mother's kitchen table, trying to explain the impossible conversation she'd had at the museum. Rosa Rodriguez, a woman in her 60s with silver-streaked hair and knowing eyes, listened without interruption. "Let me understand this correctly," Rosa said, when Alina finished. "The billionaire wants to marry you for a year and pay you millions of dollars." "It sounds insane when you put it like that," Alina admitted. "It sounds like an answer to prayers," Rosa countered. "Mia, you've been working yourself to exhaustion for 7 years. When was the last time you bought yourself something new? When was the last time you didn't worry about money? Alina rubbed her temples. It's not real, Mama. It would be pretending, would it? Rosa asked perceptively. The way you described how he acted with Mia, how he looked at you, that doesn't sound like pretending. Mia appeared in the doorway. In her pajamas? Grandma Rosa? Is Sebastian going to be my daddy? Elena's heart clenched. Baby, it's complicated. Come here. She pulled Mia onto her lap. How would you feel if Mama got married? Mia considered this seriously. Would he be nice to us? Would we still live together? He would be very nice to us, Alina said carefully. And yes, we would all live together. Then I think it would be good, Mia decided with the straightforward logic of childhood. You get sad sometimes when you think I'm not looking. Maybe Sebastian could help you not be sad. The innocent observation hit Alina like a physical blow. She had tried so hard to shield Mia from her struggles, but children were more perceptive than adults often realized. The decision 3 days later. Alina called Sebastian from the break room at her cleaning job. Can we meet again? I want to discuss details. They met at a small coffee shop in Elena's neighborhood, a world away from Sebastian's usual haunts. He looked oddly at home among the worn vinyl booths and hand-lettered menu boards, chatting easily. With the elderly owner who remembered Alina from her childhood, I've been thinking about your proposal, Alina began, without preamble. If I agreed, and I'm not saying I am, what exactly would this arrangement look like? Sebastian had clearly thought this through carefully. You and Mia would move into my house. Separate bedrooms, of course. Unless, or until you decided otherwise. Mia would attend the best private schools. You'd have complete financial freedom. Credit cards, bank accounts, whatever you need. After 1 year, if you choose to leave, you'd receive a settlement that would ensure you never have to work again if you don't want to. And if there's a child, Lena asked, her cheeks burning, then we'd figure it out together, Sebastian said simply. I won't lie, the will requires an heir. But I won't pressure you, Alina. Whatever happens between us would have to happen naturally. Alina studied his face, looking for signs of deception or hidden motives. Why me, Sebastian? Really? Sebastian was quiet for a long moment. When you talk about Mia, your whole face lights up with love. Because you work 3 jobs without complaining to give her a better life. Because in a world where everyone wants something from me, you asked for nothing. I'm asking for a lot now, Alina pointed out. No, Sebastian said firmly. I'm offering there's a difference. Lena made her decision with the same practical determination that had gotten her through 7 years of single motherhood.
And 1 year,
she said, full legal marriage with a prenuptial agreement protecting both of us. I want my own lawyer to review everything. Sebastian's face broke into a smile that transformed his entire appearance. Done. Absolutely done. As they shook hands across the small table, both felt the electric current of possibility. Neither was sure what they were beginning, but for the first time in months, both felt hopeful about the future. There's just one more thing, Alina said, suddenly nervous again. I've never lived anywhere but this neighborhood. I don't know how to be rich. Sebastian laughed, a sound of pure joy. Alina, you've raised an incredible daughter while working. Multiple jobs, and still found time to be kind to a stranger. Trust me, you already know everything important. The Kane mansion in the hills overlooking the city was unlike anything Alina had ever imagined living in. As the moving truck pulled away after delivering their few possessions, she stood in the marble foyer feeling like an imposter in someone else's dream. Mia, however, had no such reservations. She raced through the house with the boundless energy of childhood, claiming the bedroom with the window seat as her own, and immediately asking Sebastian if she could really use the swimming pool whenever she wanted. Of course, Sebastian told her seriously, this is your home now too, all of it. Lena watched the interaction with a mixture of gratitude and terror.
Yes.
In the week since their wedding at the courthouse, a simple ceremony attended only by Rosa and Sebastian's lawyer, James Mitchell, everything had moved with bewildering speed. New clothes, new schools, new life. The chef will be here tomorrow to discuss meal preferences, Sebastian mentioned as they settled in the living room that evening. And I've arranged for a tutor to help Mia transition to Westfield Academy. Chef, Alina repeated faintly. Sebastian, we're used to cooking our own meals. Of course, you can use the kitchen whenever you want, Sebastian assured her. Chef Antonio just handles the daily cooking so you don't have to worry about it. The casual mention of household staff Alina had only seen in movies made her feel even more out of place. "This is all so much," she admitted. Sebastian sat beside her on the leather sofa, careful to maintain respectful distance. "We can take it as slowly as you need. Change is hard, even good change." Mia appeared in the doorway in her new silk pajamas, looking like a small princess. "Mama, my room has a TV and a computer and everything. Is this really ours forever?" "For now, baby," Alina said carefully. "For as long as you want it to be," Sebastian corrected gently. Meeting Elena's eyes with meaning, she was beginning to understand. Growing closer over the following weeks, an unexpected routine developed in the Kane household. Sebastian, who had previously worked 18-hour days, found himself coming home earlier to have dinner with his new family. Alina, freed from the exhaustion of multiple jobs, discovered she had energy for things she had forgotten she enjoyed. Reading, gardening, long conversations. Mia blossomed in her new environment. Her teacher at Westfield Academy reported that she was academically gifted, particularly in art and mathematics. Sebastian arranged for private lessons in both subjects, watching with pride as Mia's confidence grew. "Look what I painted today," Mia announced one evening, showing Sebastian a watercolor of their house surrounded by flowers. "It's beautiful," Sebastian said, examining it with the attention he usually reserved for business proposals. "The way you captured the light on the windows is remarkable." Lena observed these interactions with growing amazement. Sebastian never patronized Mia or spoke to her with false enthusiasm. He treated her artistic efforts with genuine respect and engaged with her questions as if they were the most important things in his day. "You're good with her," Elena commented one evening after Mia had gone to bed. "She's easy to be good with," Sebastian replied. "She's honest, curious, kind, everything I value in people." The compliment was clearly directed at Elena as well, and she felt warmth spread through her chest. "Sebastian, can I ask you something personal?" "Everything about this situation is personal," he said with a smile. "Go ahead. Do you ever regret not having children before now, the traditional way?" Sebastian considered the question seriously. "I thought I didn't want children because I never met anyone I wanted to have them with. I think I was just waiting for the right family to find me." The word family hung in the air between them, heavy with possibility, unexpected complications 2 months into their arrangement. Sebastian's cousin David Kane appeared at their door with a lawyer and a photographer, clearly hoping to catch them in some compromising situation that would prove their marriage was fraudulent. Well, David sneered as Sebastian answered the door. The happy couple. "I've heard interesting rumors about your convenient marriage, cousin." Sebastian's jaw tightened, but before he could respond, Alina appeared beside him with Mia at her side. Both were dressed casually, Alina in jeans and a sweater that had become her weekend uniform. Mia in paint-splattered clothes from her art lesson. "David," Sebastian said coolly, "I don't recall inviting you. I just wanted to meet the new Mrs. Kane," David replied, his eyes raking over Alina dismissively. "Make sure she's legitimate." Alina felt her temper flare at the obvious implication. "I'm Alina Rodriguez Kane," she said clearly, stepping forward. "And you are?" "David Kane, Sebastian's cousin, and the rightful heir to Kane Industries," David replied with obvious satisfaction. "Actually," Mia piped up with the fearless honesty of childhood, "Sebastian says you're the cousin who's never worked a day in his life." David's face reddened, while Sebastian struggled not to laugh. Alina put a protective hand on Mia's shoulder. "I think you should leave," Alina said firmly. "This is our home, and you're not welcome here." David looked between Sebastian and Alina, clearly searching for cracks in their united front. Finding none, he retreated with threats about investigating the legitimacy of their marriage. After he left, Sebastian pulled Alina and Mia into a group hug. "Thank you for defending our family," he said, the word family coming naturally now. "That man was mean," Mia observed.
Don't like him.
"Neither do I, sweetheart," Sebastian agreed. "But he can't hurt us as long as we stick together." Transformation of hearts by their 4th month of marriage. The lines between arrangement and reality had blurred beyond recognition. Sebastian found himself looking forward to coming home, not just to escape work, but because Alina and Mia had made the house feel alive in ways he had never experienced. Alina discovered that Sebastian was nothing like the cold businessman she had initially imagined. He was thoughtful, funny, incredibly generous, and surprisingly vulnerable about his desire to be a good husband and father figure. The change was most evident in small moments. Sebastian teaching Mia to play chess while Elena read nearby. All three of them building elaborate pillow forts in the living room. Quiet conversations over coffee after Mia went to bed about dreams, fears, and the future. "I have something to tell you," Elena said one evening, as they sat on the terrace overlooking the city lights. Sebastian tensed, fearing she was about to announce her decision to leave when their year was up. "I'm pregnant," she said simply. Sebastian stared at her in shock, then broke into a smile so wide and genuine that Elena's fears about his reaction evaporated instantly. "Really?" he asked, reaching for her hands. "Really?" Elena confirmed. "Are you happy?" Instead of answering with words, Sebastian pulled her into his arms and kissed her, with all the love that had been building between them for months. When they broke apart, both were crying with joy. "Does this mean you'll stay?" Sebastian asked, his voice uncertain despite everything they had shared. "Sebastian Kane," Elena said, framing his face with her hands. "I'm not staying because of the baby or the money or the arrangement. I'm staying because I love you. I love the way you make Mia laugh, the way you worry about your employees, the way you've become the man I didn't know I was looking for." "I love you too," Sebastian replied, the words feeling like the most natural thing he had ever said. "I love your strength, your devotion to Mia, the way you've made this house a home. I love our family, Elena, forever after." 1 year later, Sebastian and Elena renewed their vows in the garden of their home, surrounded by friends, family, and the employees of Kane Industries who had watched their boss transform from a workaholic bachelor into a devoted family man. Mia, now 8 and glowing with the confidence that comes from being deeply loved, served as maid of honor. Rosa cried happy tears as she watched her daughter marry for love this time, not necessity. Elena wore a flowing white dress that accommodated her growing belly, radiant with happiness that seemed to shine from within. His eyes off her, still amazed that she had chosen to stay not because she had to, but because she wanted to.
Ow.
"Do you think grandmother would approve?" Sebastian asked, as they watched their guests celebrate in the garden, where Elena now grew vegetables. Alongside roses, "I think she'd be proud," Elena replied, watching Mia chase butterflies while carefully protecting her new brother or sister growing inside Elena. "You saved the company, but more than that, you found your heart." Sebastian pulled his wife closer, marveling at how completely his life had changed. "We found each other," he corrected. "Everything else was just bonus." As the sun set over their celebration, Sebastian reflected on the unexpected journey that had brought them together. Been searching for an heir and found a family. Elena had been looking for security and discovered love. Both had found something neither knew they needed, a partner who saw them for who they truly were. David Kane's legal challenges had failed spectacularly when it became obvious that Sebastian and Elena's marriage was not only legitimate, but deeply loving. Kane Industries thrived under Sebastian's continued leadership. Now, tempered with the wisdom that came from understanding what truly mattered in life, Mia grew up, knowing she was loved by 2 parents who had chosen each other and chosen her. The baby, a son they named Gabriel, would never know a world without love, security, parents who put family first. Years later, when people asked Sebastian how he had known Elena was the right choice, he would smile and say, "She was the first person who said yes to me, not to my money. Everything wonderful in my life started with that yes." Elena would add, "Sometimes the most unexpected beginnings lead to the most beautiful endings. We just had to be brave enough to say yes to love, even when it came disguised as a business arrangement." Their love story became legend in the social circles where Sebastian moved, proof that real love could bloom in the most unlikely circumstances between the most unexpected people. But for Sebastian, Elena, Mia, and baby Gabriel, it was simply home.